Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for She Earned It, a conversation presented by Fashion and Tick-Tock Canada. In honor of International Women's Day, we're celebrating women entrepreneurs as they showcase their diverse voices, strength, and creativity, and how they're making a lasting impact on the global TikTok community and beyond. This evening, I'll chat with a group of Canadian entrepreneurs about how they've pivoted their businesses during the pandemic, how they overcame the challenges of the last year, how they found joyous moments through it all, and how they found community on TikTok. My name is Jennifer Berry, and I'm the digital director of Fashion Magazine. And I am thrilled to be joined this evening, virtually of course, by 5 inspiring and talented Canadian business owners who will tell you a little bit about themselves in just a moment. And before they do, just a quick housekeeping note. We will have time for questions at the end of the discussion. So please be sure to pop your questions right into the Q&A box and we will do our best to answer them. So without further ado, Sana, why don't you kick us off?
All right. Hello, everybody. So my name is Sana Saleh. I live here in Ontario and I started my business only 6 months ago. I had zero plans of starting a business pre-COVID, I guess you could say. I think that was the catalyst to my business. So I own, with my husband, we both own it together, a handmade tie-dye hijab company. If you have seen these around, they're handmade by us. We have 2 little children and we do everything ourselves at home. It's been really wild. We joined TikTok in January of last year, and within 1 year, like our whole life transformed. So really excited to kind of share a story, but that was the catalyst to everything. TikTok, COVID, all those things.
Amazing. Anastasia, let's hear from you next. Anastasia, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yes, sorry, it said the host had to unmute me.
That's okay. Sorry.
All good. Yes, so my name is Anastasia Boguslavska. I'm a co-founder of Lunata Beauty. So we're on a mission to free you from cords. What we do is we combine beauty with technology to develop revolutionary, game-changing cordless hair tools. We started the company in 2017. Monica kind of will talk a bit more later about how that happened. But this year, we saw such a huge increase in just people loving our products on TikTok. And we weren't on TikTok before. So we jumped right on the channel because people were already sharing our products. And yeah, we've loved it so much this year, especially.
Amazing. Monica, do you want to jump in now and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Monica Abramov. I'm also co-founder and CEO of Lunata Beauty. Stacey kind of covered, the business part of things, but my role is really to manage the team, product development, business development, big picture stuff, and managing the retail partnerships.
Very cool. Eden, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I have a business called Black Foodie, and it's all about exploring Black food culture. And we do this in many different ways. But essentially, our community is, you can find them online. We have almost 200,000 followers now across social media platforms. But with TikTok, I actually started it off as an experiment because I thought it was something just for kids. And then I ended up reaching like hundreds of thousands of people and, telling, really cool stories around my cultural foods. And that's what really woke me up to this platform.
Awesome. And Liz, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liz Bertorelli. By day, I actually work at TikTok as a social lead. And by night, I run a side hustle called Passion Fruit. So I'm the founder of an LGBTQ lifestyle brand. I've been running it for about 2 years now. And my pivot over COVID was essentially turning to TikTok and starting to build up a queer community.
Amazing. So actually to piggyback off of what you said, Liz, for my first question, I want to ask you, Monica, is Lunata Beauty a side hustle for you or is it your main source of income?
So funny enough, it started off as a side hustle. And I promised my husband too, I was like, don't worry, this is not going to be another business because I've had multiple businesses before. It's just going to be something on the side. We're going to sell them on Amazon. But very quickly, we grew, so fast. When we got into our first retailer, which was Nordstrom, we really had to become a company very quickly. So we were fulfilling orders from my living room, my dining room. It definitely was not ideal. We had to get a 3PL, get incorporated, get insurance, all that fun stuff. So, very quickly from side hustle, after, a couple more retailers signed on, Stacy and I quit our corporate jobs and went full time on it. And it's been, I think, 2.5 years since we've been full time. So.
How long was there between, the time that you started it and it was a side hustle and when you went like, okay, we're going to go all in?
I think in total about a year or so. Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, from when we started the company. And, with the first retailer with Nordstrom, they actually sat on it for 4 months before getting back to us and calling us up and saying, we love this product. We want to get this, up and tested ASAP. So about a year.
About a year. Cool. So, okay, for the next question, some people say it doesn't exist. It's certainly much harder, I think, to achieve in the time of the pandemic because we do everything from home. It's our office, our restaurant, our workout space. But Sana, tell me, how do you try to find work-life balance?
It's such a funny question for me because I always tell people that I'm winging it, like straight up winging it all the time. But at the same time, I feel like it's like organized chaos. For us, we have 2 kids, we homeschool them. And then on top of that, we have our business. On top of that, we do YouTube, we do TikTok like full time. So in theory, I felt like we were really winging it in the beginning, but now I think we've kind of solidified a schedule of how we do things, and every single thing that we do kind of has its own time. So I really live by our calendar. That really gets me through my days. Every single thing is time blocked. Every single thing that we do throughout the day has its own space. And then whatever I'm not able to do, I outsource. And that's really been a blessing. Just kind of learning how to let go a little bit and have people help out when I need it.
Smart. Yeah. As far as like the scheduling thing goes, I remember someone telling me like, oh yeah, just like schedule your lunch breaks, like schedule like a little moment to do like absolutely nothing, schedule a walk. I was like, that's actually really brilliant.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. And
especially now.
I remember in the beginning, we would work and still do quite often 7 days a week. And I remember a friend of mine telling me, she's like, you can take a day off, right? Like you're not expected to work every single day. But it feels like I have to. I feel like I need to be accessible all the time and for our customers and those types of things. And then recently, I would say the last few months, I think we've kind of learned like it's okay to take time off.
And then I'm sure you just like relish it that much more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people, some of the other panelists can relate to that sort of like 7-day-a-week grind when it's your own business. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially now separating, work from home life now that we're all home. So it's tough to really find that distinction. So
yeah, there's no more like nighttime, like daytime 9 to 5 or anything like that, right? There's people working all day and all night.
Yeah.
So sort of finding like, just what precedent are you setting? Are you going to be answering emails 24/7 or are you going to, have time slots where you're not fully accessible?
Yeah, it's so true. I've also heard people say like having just little kind of rituals that tell you like it's now the end of the workday, like like light a candle or whatever, try that maybe. So there's been endless talk about pivoting during the pandemic, but I'm sure you can all agree like the pivot is real. We had to pivot to work from home. We pivot to virtual schooling. We're just like constantly doing pirouettes. Eden, how have you had to pivot your business during the pandemic?
In so many ways. So with Black Foodie, we already had, we were set up for online. We had a community online, a website, and all of those things, but we really loved events and we were planning on a festival. So that was something I was really looking forward to. We had some like big, people who had signed on and who were ready to like support this. And then, you know, COVID happened and like we can't be around each other, and like the whole idea of like an in-person festival just didn't seem to be in reach anytime soon. And so we pivoted and we hosted something called Black Foodie Week in partnership with the City of Toronto, and we were able to spotlight Black-owned restaurants, get the mayor of the city involved, get people who had never tried African and Caribbean food to go out and try these foods, and also like work with different corporate partners that we hadn't reached, you know, previous to COVID time. So it actually, we were able to pivot, but also be like pretty successful in the process and do something that we're going to do again and again, that I don't know if we would have done had it not been for, you know, COVID.
Right. And I'm sure, I don't know, but did it take a little bit to kind of get over the initial disappointment of realizing like the in-person festival is just not happening?
Oh yeah. It's food, right? So you want to be there in person, you want to try it, you want to have like all of the fun moments that you get to do in person. It's hard to recreate online. But what happened was we had even more of a drive to do this event because we saw so many restaurants struggling, and we saw so many like food businesses closing down. And so this was a bigger motivation than just like having fun in person. Now we were like, okay, we need to save these restaurants, we need to save these jobs. And that's how we were able to like push forward.
Very cool. So, I mean, I'm thrilled to be honoring International Women's Day with all of you and talking about your journeys. And I'm sure you can agree that a feeling of community is more crucial than ever in light of this pandemic. So, Anastasia, tell me, what does International Women's Day mean to you? And how are you supporting women in your online community?
So for us, International Women's Day has always been a day of sort of like evaluation and reflection to look back at the year previous and what have we done to support the community, both as a business and both personally. So last year when Monica and I did that, we ended up launching a podcast called She's on a Mission, where we highlight women in Toronto who have different businesses. And this year, again, you know, we sit down, we reflect, what have we actually done last year? What are we going to do this year? Because it shouldn't just be like a one-day thing where we really, you know, support women and do more. It should be something that we're doing all year round. So us as a business, we started to partner with a lot of female creatives, freelancers, and really supporting people in their creativity. So a lot of our kind of like videos and content on that side. But I think with COVID, one big thing we started to do is kind of create connections and connect women that we know with other women who might you know, benefit knowing each other, whether it's for business or, you know, if a new mom and another new mom just became mothers and they're isolated in lockdown, well, let's, you know, connect them together. And Monica and I have seen more and more of this, you know, connecting investors with entrepreneurs or whatever else. And I think it's just kind of a day to kind of reflect and plan, what are you going to do the following year to really support this community.
Yeah, smart. All about, like you said, like building that network and helping the people that you know meet each other.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Especially like during this, you know, it's been hard to kind of connect people, but the more you do, you see just how open people are to meeting other people.
Yeah, for sure. How do you find time to do a podcast?
Well, at first we were doing it from our office, but then, you know, obviously we all in Toronto, we're from Toronto, so we went into lockdown. So we started doing it like over our phones, but the quality was really not there. So we did a couple that way. But now we're kind of just trying to figure out what is the best way to do it, to have multiple people on the podcast and have good quality audio.
Another pivot.
Yeah, lots of.
So Monica, I'm going to throw it over to you. What advice do you have for women who want to run their own business?
So I think the number one thing is do not be afraid to fail. I can't even count the amount of times I have failed, previous businesses in the past. And I think it's really important to remember that you don't just get one shot at a business. It's not like your one chance to make it, and then if you fail, you fail. And yeah, I think so many people are so terrified of failure, they don't even start. But every single failure has been such a learning experience and such a great lesson. So I think that's super important to our success at Lunata. But also in terms of timing, I think people really wait for the right time. And what I want to say is that there's never the right time to launch a business. Like our last business, I actually launched a month after giving birth to my second son. So the timing was definitely not ideal, but when you have an idea and you have a product, like you need to get on it, because if it's something unique, somebody else will beat you to the market. So I guess just do it, just start.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before too that you've started businesses before. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it's that resilience piece. You sort of just dust yourself off and give it another shot.
Exactly. And just remember that a no is not always a no in business, and, let those rejections kind of slide off your back and just keep powering through.
Right. So Liz, with everything that you've learned from Passion Fruit, I'd love to hear from you about what small business owners should be thinking about from day one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that every business owner kind of has to check off as they get going. And I think we can be so focused on those things that building a diverse team sometimes becomes an afterthought. So I think one thing to keep in mind from day one is to build a team or even work with agencies that are reflective of all human beings that come from all walks of life, so that in the long run, as you start to scale up your business, you can actually go to market with initiatives or campaigns that feel authentic and feel right. So I think overall, just hire for your blind spots and make sure you have different voices and perspectives in the room, because like your products and your campaigns and all that will benefit from that.
Right. And as you say, like outsource when you need to, like
exactly.
You'd say that's key. Yeah,
exactly. Like even when I started the business, if I had to use an agency, or if I was hiring freelance writers, I would want to see their team. I'd want to talk to everyone and see who's in the room. Basically what I'm trying to say is make sure the insides of your company, the internal team, matches anything you're projecting externally, so it feels right. I think when brands do that, they win.
Right. And how long has Passion Fruit been operating, Liz? I meant to ask you that earlier.
So the first iteration of it, I ran for 4 years, and then I rebranded it to Passion Fruit about 2.5 years ago, and made some changes and pivots.
Cool. There's that word again.
It's always a pivot.
Okay, so Sana, this next question is for you, because as you mentioned in your intro, you have a really unique story about Lala Hijabs and Tick-Tock. So can you go a bit further into how you have used Tick-Tock to increase brand awareness and drive sales?
Yeah, so me and my husband joined Tick-Tock last year. It's been exactly 1 year, and we went from absolutely 0 followers to 1.1 million in just 12 months.
Amazing.
Which is kind of mind-blowing. We had no other platforms like whatsoever. So I would say 5 or maybe 6 months into our TikTok journey together, just creating fun content, educational content, we had the idea of starting Lala Hijabs. So we would post about it on our main TikTok page. And then I also created a separate Lala Hijabs TikTok page as well to kind of hype it up and just get people excited about it. And the response has been huge. It's been so wildly successful. We can barely, like, anytime people go to our website, everything's just always sold out because we just don't have the capacity to make as much as like we need to make. And so TikTok has been so organic for us. It's just reached the right people for us, and we haven't had to spend on any ad spend or anything like that for our business. It's all been organic, and I think that's why our story is so unique. It's because the way that we put our content out, it's just been so relatable to people that the people that are interested in purchasing hijabs just happen to be the same followers that we have in terms of the ones that watch our content. Right. So it's been really fun and organic and very natural.
Right. And I mean, I feel like that moment where it was like everyone was obsessed with tie-dye at the beginning of the pandemic as well, like just seems like a beautiful kind of synergy.
Yeah, actually that's how it all started. I was scrolling TikTok right when everybody had gone into lockdown and everyone was tie-dyeing. Everybody was tie-dyeing their sweatshirts, clothes, and so I had one scarf in my closet that was white, and so I literally went to Walmart because that's the only thing that was open, and I grabbed some dyes. I came home and I dyed my scarf, and then I started wearing it on TikTok when I was just creating content, and everybody started asking, where did you get that from? So that's how the idea sparked. It was completely random, totally not in our like foresight at all, and it just
right
from there.
Magical. Did anybody else on the panel try to tie-dye or make sourdough bread at the beginning of the pandemic?
All of the above. I made some tie-dye tracksuits. I like really tried to master sourdough with the starter and the whole thing. And yeah, now we're on to pizza, homemade pizza.
Oh, nice, delicious.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sana. It's an amazing story. And so in keeping with the idea of community, we keep talking about that, but I know we all have people in our lives that have been mentors, advisors, trusted confidants in our careers. Liz, what woman has positively impacted you in your career? And what's a lesson she taught you that you can share?
I mean, I've been very lucky to be surrounded by like incredibly strong, brilliant women in my career, at work, teammates, friends. But for this one, I have to say the OG of my family, my nana, my grandmother. She's 88. Her story has always inspired me. She came to Canada with nothing, ended up running a store for 25 years in Ottawa, was the breadwinner of the family. And I think just she would never expect me to even say her to this answer, which is funny. But just seeing what she's built here for my family is incredibly inspiring. So I think indirectly, she's kind of taught me that any sort of adversity or anything that life kind of throws at you only holds you back if you let it. And to always speak up. That's all she ever says now is just speak up, speak up, speak up. So yeah, that's who I would say.
Amazing. Does she also make pizza? Just because we were just talking about pizza and you said she's a nonna, so I need to know.
She's a nonna and she makes everything and she judges I send her pics of like my homemade pasta and I hear it. Like if there's no grooves in the gnocchi, she's not having it.
Oh, doesn't accept.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, this is another sort of big question, and I'm sure the lists are long for most entrepreneurs. But Eden, I'd love to know from you, what excites you the most about Black Foodie, and also what keeps you up at night about your business?
What excites me is that there's so much more to do. Like there's when it comes to like just like storytelling around food, there's so much that our food tells us about ourselves, about our history, about our community, about our culture. And I think that's why the content that Black Foodie makes really resonates with people. So what excites me is just like having the opportunity to create really cool content around that and create opportunities for other Black creators in this space. When I started off, it was really tough. It still is a little bit difficult, but it was tough to like see myself reflected in the content, and oftentimes I had a lot of questions and I just didn't know where to get the answer. And now I try to be a resource to other creators, and especially Black women in the food space, so they know and they have like a insider info that I never had before,
Right.
And then I
Go
think
ahead.
the second part of your question was like, what keeps me up at night? And it is work. That's so much to do. It is what it is. I got a lot of stuff to do, and the hustle doesn't stop. So yeah, that's definitely what keeps me up at night.
Well, Eden, I just want to ask you this now. So is this also your main job, or is Black Foodie a side hustle for you as well?
No, this is my main job. It started off as a side hustle.
Yeah.
and I had to do several side hustles to be able to do Black
Right.
Foodie. So I worked a lot of different jobs. But now I'm really grateful to be in a place where I do this full time, and I also am able to work with other people.
Nice. And now you're like, I can just work 23 hours a day on Black Foodie.
Yes, exactly.
So I'd love to end the discussion part of the evening. And by the way, for all the viewers, make sure you're putting your questions in the Q&A box. But I'd like to look ahead a little bit. So Anastasia, why don't you tell me, what are you most looking forward to this year, aside from, I'm sure, getting back to some sense of normalcy?
The biggest thing I'm looking forward to, us coming out of lockdown. That's the number one kind of thing. But once we come out of lockdown, a big thing for me is kind of living in the moment. I think a big thing that, like, I personally as an entrepreneur was doing is kind of focusing too much on not living in the moment, because I thought that moment there would be another trip, right? Or there would be another birthday party, or there would be another night out with my friends. And so I was constantly on my phone answering emails, or kind of like not taking in those experiences. So I think what I'm looking forward to is having just a bit of a different viewpoint of how to balance my personal life and these experiences with work life, and not taking for granted that trip, right? Or that birthday party, or the little things that in the past I just kind of felt like, well, there'll be another night, right? And so I think that's the big thing. It's just like a change, right? And we've all been on all these Zoom calls and all these things for so long. I think it's going to be good to also just see people in person and hug them, and get together with our coworkers, go to the office, have meetings, have powwows and brainstorm, things that we, haven't been able to do for a while.
I know, it's like I've never wanted to sit around like a boardroom table more, like bring my laptop in, like the thing that used to feel like a slog. Now you just like want it so badly. I'm sure any of the other panelists can chime in if you like, that you could probably relate to what Anastasia said. Is there something like that you just cannot wait to do once things are back to normal, whether it's travel, birthday party, brunch?
I can take this. I honestly, like, a big part of my business is around Pride. That's when we do the best. So I can't wait to go back to Pride. I can't wait to celebrate Toronto Pride again, be in person with the community. It's been, obviously, TikTok has been amazing to be able to connect with the community in another way. Especially, I've met more Toronto queers than I have in a while, just on TikTok. So I'm excited to meet everyone in person once this is over.
Totally. Just give everyone a big hug.
Oh yeah.
Eden, were you going to say something?
Yes. Yeah,
please.
like I miss eating inside of restaurants. I miss going to new places and just like, talking to people, or like I really will ask somebody at the other table, did you like it? Okay, let me get what they ordered, and just like, that interaction. I miss like the random parts of it, even the annoying parts I never thought I would miss. I really miss it now.
So true. I feel like I'm getting like misty eyed thinking about like making a connection with a stranger in a restaurant.
And all those girls in the bathrooms that want to become friends, you kind of miss them now, right? Kind of like,
where are they now?
Yes.
I think it's also just like living life, right? I feel like this past year we've really just been surviving, and kind of getting through one day to the next, and just sort of like thinking like, when will this be over? When will this be over? And just getting back to life, like all the little things that everyone mentioned, just connection, and even just going to a coffee shop and not having to worry about being like 6 feet apart. So the little things for sure.
So true. So much to look forward to. Well, okay. Thank you all so much for this engaging conversation, but it's not over. We're going to get to our questions, and we have quite a few in the Q&A. So let me just open that up right now. Okay, so the first question is, what's the most exciting part of owning your own business? So if anybody wants to jump in, go for it. Otherwise, I will call on a name.
I can go. I think just the fact that every day is different. No 2 days are the same. And for me personally, I love building products. So I love the whole idea of, for us specifically, because we are a product-based company, but, in thinking of a product, dreaming of a product, and seeing that product come to fruition is definitely top on my list for sure. But just, there's no like monotony of every day being the same. And I love that excitement.
Sana, what about you? What's the part of owning a business that keeps you kind of energized?
Yeah, I just love the flexibility. I love being able to, if my kids want to go to the zoo someday during the week, I can be like, sure, let's pack up and let's go. I just love being able to, work in a space where I have that ability. I have, the ability to kind of change up my schedule as I need to. The freedom of that has been so nice, especially with kids.
I'm sure. Okay. And the next question is, what is your biggest challenge in day-to-day life, juggling all your various responsibilities? So let's go with Monica.
Oh, yeah. I have lots. So I have 2 kids at home. So it's been very challenging. Thankfully, they're back to school, but for a very long stretch of time, there was the online learning that all the parents will know about. So that was definitely difficult to juggle and to try to find, slots of time to actually get work done. So yeah, I think at least, in the current moment, again, they're back at school, so there's a little bit more normalcy now, but yeah, that's been fun.
And yeah, like working from home, I actually had a baby during the pandemic, but it's sort of like, you can't really, you're working here, you're living here, you're doing everything here. So having like a little bit of a break to go out and just even like look at outside. But I think it's like kind of what Monica said, like, balancing all of it, but then also you have to do everything in one place, right?
For sure. What about you, Eden?
I feel like this might be a little bit of a tangent, but I don't think that there is balance, for me. So I think that's the hard thing, like trying to figure out how to have balance. Because I think as an entrepreneur, like when opportunities are opening up, I'm just like, yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. But I think sometimes you have to say no in order to say yes to something bigger. And that's what I'm trying to like learn right now.
That's good advice. Okay, this question is actually for you, Sana. It's how were you able to gain followers on TikTok?
I think the first few times we posted, we had no idea what we were doing. Me and my husband were just sitting there telling each other jokes. And one day we posted a piece of content and it went viral overnight. So I don't really think that there's like a secret sauce as to how to become successful or gain followers on TikTok other than consistency. Like that is the biggest piece of advice that I can give you is if you want to grow on TikTok, you have to be creating multiple times a week, like at least one video a week, and make the content unique to you. And it has to be either entertaining or educational or something that grabs people's attention. And I think every single piece of content that we do, we always have that in mind. So whether we're, educating or we're making people laugh or we're doing a comedy skit, whatever it may be, it's giving some type of value. So I think that's truly how we grew our following so fast. It's because we gave a lot of value in our content.
So that actually brings me to a related question that I'll send over to one of our other panelists who wants to talk about TikTok. So how do you come up with ideas for content for TikTok? This participant said that they struggle to come up with fun, original ideas for captivating videos. Liz?
Yeah, I think based on my personal experience, I typically will find a sound that is perhaps trending in like that discover page and try and fit it into my personality. So my TikTok is actually my name, and I have my actual brand as just the link in bio. So I've led kind of person behind the brand first, which has actually been really successful. So I just, because the brand is ultimately an extension of myself. So I just try and plug any sort of product throughout my like original content. And everything I do is directed at the queer community. So I think focusing on a niche and being your authentic self goes a long way on TikTok.
Anybody else want to chime in with their advice for content creation on the platform?
Well, a lot of the content creation for our brand comes from other TikTokers, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who are using our products. And, we were using Instagram solely before. And we started to see just how creative and how much effort the people were actually putting into their content. That was kind of like our big, like, oh, we should probably really, put a little bit more effort, a little bit more time into figuring out what this platform is. And the videos that have gone viral were very much people who actually own our products and use our products, but are doing it kind of in funny ways. So, we have cordless hair tools. So we had one influencer who's a male using it in the grocery store and then at the park where it's like -20 outside, and kind of like things that are kind of, when you're scrolling, you see it and you're just like, wait, what is happening here? So we've seen that really work, but like just the level of creativity that the people who are on the platform have is astonishing. Like I feel like we can't even come up with some of the stuff that they're doing. So we really lean towards the content creators that are already super successful on the platform.
Smart. And you're right. It's such an endless trove of creativity. Like I'm just kind of always dazzled by it myself. And Liz, just a quick note. Someone said share Nona's recipe on TikTok. So I wanted to mention that.
Okay, that's next.
Oh, this is a very good question. What tips help your mental health when you have so much on the go? Monica, anything to?
Yeah, sure. I actually started meditating prior to the pandemic, and I found that, we were doing a lot of investor pitches and a lot of presentations and stuff like that, and it's so easy to let the nerves sort of get to you. So I found that, meditating was definitely something that really, really, really helped ground me. And same with exercise. I know everyone says it, but like even just 30 minutes really, really helped me be more productive. Now I'm like 7 months pregnant, so it's really hard, and I'm really trying to like get into working out, but it's prior to that. Those two things really, really helped me out.
Those are good tips. What about you, Eden?
Sometimes, I don't know, I think it's just like enjoying a really good meal. Like I don't know how everything is food centered in my life, but like
it's wonderful.
Yeah, but I just do really find myself at peace when I'm eating something that I like really enjoy. So sometimes it's just like getting some comfort food, having a nice like cup of chai tea and like chilling out for a minute. Sometimes it's laughing on TikTok because there is a lot of funny people on TikTok, and then that's just like a little bit of an escape, and then it's back to the grind.
What would be one of those ideal comfort food meals for you?
Anything with bread, carbs, like tons of carbs. I like homemade bread. Yeah, it's something very basic, but I think that like no matter what, it just like feels like so comforting to have fresh bread.
Works every time, every single time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I've got another question for Sana. So where do you see Lala Hijabs in 5 years?
That's a good question. I would love to see it grow as a bigger global brand, and I would love to also bring out eventually modest clothing. I have no idea what that looks like because fashion is not my thing, honestly, other than scarves. I would love to see growth, like worldwide kind of growth. Right now we do ship worldwide, but when I say growth, I mean like I would love to see like a shop in like, you know, Malaysia and the UK and just like different countries. I think that would be so cool to make it more accessible to more women.
Amazing. I'll send that question to Anastasia as well. Where do you see your company in 5 years?
So in 5 years, we've talked about this a lot. We really, we want to become the leaders in cordless hair tools, and to be worldwide. We do ship worldwide, but having a presence for sure in the UK and in Europe is really big. But a big thing for us is kind of taking the innovation to the next level and having some smart technology in our tools. So that's like a big thing for us that we're trying to really to do, and just have our products be at a level where people are just like, this is amazing, right? So that's always our big goal.
Cool. Oh, this is a nice question. What made each of you happy today? So, okay, I'll let you all answer it, and we're going to start with you, Sana, because you're the first person in my grid.
Chocolate.
Oh, guys, you're making me so hungry.
Whenever I'm working, I always just have like candy beside me. Like anybody that knows me knows like I love sweets, and like that makes me the happiest. Like last night, me and my husband were working till midnight, and he's like, "What do you want? What can I get you that'll make you feel good?" And he just brought me like a whole bunch of chocolate, and I was like, "You're the best. Like this is the best."
Divine. Delicious. So tonight I'm going to eat bread, pizza, chocolate, pasta, gnocchi, like chai tea. Just thinking of all the things you guys maybe want to put in my mouth. Monica, you're next.
This is going to sound so cheesy, but this literally, it made me so happy waking up this morning and seeing the sun. I was like, oh my goodness. It just gives you sort of, even though it's freezing outside, but it just sort of gave me a taste of like summer coming. And we recently moved up north actually to Innisfil. So we haven't really been able to enjoy it because we moved here like right at the end of September. So, then winter came, and I'm just excited for the summer and spending it on the lake with the kids and the new baby. So yeah, the sun.
So nice. Oh yeah, those first hits of sun where you're just like, I could go do cartwheels outside. Like spring fever is so real.
Yeah.
Especially pandemic spring fever. Anastasia, what about you?
So as I said, I had a baby recently, so I didn't really sleep last night. And this morning I got up, I saw the sun, I got in my car, and I know Eminem is being canceled supposedly by cancel culture, but I blasted some Eminem and some other music and just drove around my block, which might sound kind of funny, but it really made my day before starting the work day.
Sounds great.
Yeah. That was fun.
What about you, Liz?
My wine club delivery showed up today, and I'm very excited because you know what I'm doing at 7:31.
Just a nice little. What are you going to go for?
Definitely.
White, red?
I haven't looked at the bottles yet, but I know there's 4, so that's a start. So that made me very happy.
Delicious. Eden, what about you?
This is gonna sound basic, but also a delivery. I've had so many. I've been trying to get a ring light, and all of my ring lights kept breaking, and I just got a new one today, and I was so happy it came in the mail. So that was the highlight today.
I mean, that sounds like a great delivery. We talked about this. I need a ring light.
Yeah.
Like, it's crucial. Okay, we've got more questions here. So this one is back to TikTok. So top 3 TikTok tips for starting an account. Let's go with you, Sana, first.
I would say my biggest tip is catch them in the first 3 seconds of your video. Like if it's not going to be entertaining enough for them to have to swipe by really quickly, they're just not going to watch. So you have to make sure that your first 3 seconds are like so crucial. So make sure it's really entertaining or it's going to catch them so that they watch the whole video.
Okay, Liz?
Hop on a trend, make it your own, be authentic, Authenticity honestly goes such a long way. I know I've said this before, and to Sana's point, like catch them in the first three.
And who wants to give us our third tip?
I'll go for it. Do you? That's my tip. Like, do you? Don't. I like look at the trends and get the music. Like all those things will be helpful. But the thing that I like about TikTok is that you can really be like very real, unpolished, very raw. Like it doesn't have to be picture perfect, and it resonates with people. So as long as you have something to say and something helpful or funny or just interesting, you can put it out there without it being perfect, so that's what I'd say. Don't overthink it and just do you.
I feel like
Great
being
advice.
relatable is also so important because, the more you relate to a video, the more you'll share it. So obviously that will increase your chances of going viral. So I've seen that a lot on my personal account, just, parenting things, like day-to-day funny things. And that's what I end up sharing too, like relatable content.
Yeah, I think also engaging with people who have kind of commented on other videos and answering their questions and really not ignoring the community that, that is there. We oftentimes get so many questions that also kind of drive what content we do produce, because we kind of assume people might know something, but then the questions that we get on TikTok are like, oh yeah, we should probably make a video about that. So really kind of engage with people and take a look at what people are saying.
Great tips, you guys. Here's another question. Are there any Canadian business leaders who you take inspiration from or who everyone should follow? So, Monica, anyone to suggest?
Yeah, there's so many, but like my pregnancy brain will not allow me to remember like which account specific. There's so many, but I can post them later.
Sure, of course. If anybody has any that pop to mind, jump in.
Someone just came to mind for me. Her handle, I think, is It's Vivian K. I believe she's based in Toronto. And she just started up on TikTok and I've been following along. She does a lot of what would Chad do content. That's been very funny and she's super successful and a great leader, honestly.
Amazing.
I second that. Vivian's really dope.
Right?
And she's funny, but she also like drops gems and has a successful e-commerce business. Yeah. So
yeah, I think her bio is like Gary V plus Oprah as her personality. She's great. She's really great. Highly recommend.
Same.
Love it. We have a question here for Anastasia. How do you balance everything with the baby during the pandemic? This participant said they have a 4-month-old and 2 other kids. So they're wondering how you do it.
Well, honestly, I think that it comes down to the support system that you have and kind of trusting the support system. My husband, my kind of in-laws, my mom, like the people who are around me, and have really, really helped. And that kind of what makes it good. But I think scheduling and also a team that is kind of understanding that you might not be available at a certain time and that you might be very efficient and effective at another time. So, maybe your evenings are a lot more effective and efficient than your mornings or whatever else. So it's sort of like that. But I think a big thing is just like communicate with the people you work with or your, partners about what's going on and when you work best. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
This next question is somewhat related. How hard is it to take personal time or vacation? Basically, how do you step back and have some personal or family time?
Well, in the past, like we really never stopped working. Like no matter if we went on vacation or we were even, having date night with our husbands, like we were constantly on our phones and constantly like working. And I think that, the pandemic has really kind of changed our mindset about that and understanding that if we're going to answer in every email within the first 2 minutes, then we're going to set this expectation. And then what happens is if we don't answer the email within those couple minutes, then people will start saying like, did you get my email? Like, why didn't you answer it? Whereas if there's like, if you actually, develop some boundaries and you understand that everyone needs vacation, everyone needs to live in that moment and have that date night or whatever else, watch a movie without your phone, right? I think Monica and I kind of had like a chat about that and said, let's let each other know when we need that time and when we're not going to be available. And we let our employees know as well, saying, today from this time to this time, I will not be like as available. If there's an emergency, obviously I will be. So that's been like a big kind of shift for us.
Right. Sana, how about you? How do you carve out that personal or family time?
I have such a hard time with this. My husband is usually the one that, like, for instance, today I was downstairs, I was working, and he called me and he's like, I have to tell you something really important. Can you please come here? I was like, is it worth going up the stairs for this particular thing? He's like, yeah, like I need you to come here right now. So I came upstairs and then he just smiled at me. I was like, what is it? He's like, nothing. I just wanted you to take a break. And I was like, it's that little reminder, like, and then I got mad at first. I was like, why'd you call me all the way up here to take a break? I'm working. He's like, yeah, but you've been working for so long. Just like sit down, have a break. And sometimes I might not remember, but there's always people to remind me. So I think it's good that, setting those boundaries and just kind of remembering, like, you're human. It's good to take breaks. Like, we're not supposed to be superhuman. Just like she just said, like, we need to set those boundaries, because if we don't, we're going to burn ourselves out.
Good advice. So I think that this is a great question to maybe end the Q&A on, and I'll ask you all to answer it. But what has surprised you the most about yourself since becoming an entrepreneur? Monica, why don't we start with you?
I think the biggest thing is that I used to take things so personally. And I mean, like, every review that would come in those early days on Amazon, I would like write to Stacy and I'd be so sad. I'd be like, why doesn't she why can't she use this, or why doesn't it work for her, or whatever the case may be. And I would literally take it to heart. So I think I've really learned how to not take things so personally, really become more kind of solutions focused and just, kind of let it slide, and just being, again, it just comes back to being resilient, and strong-minded, I guess.
Yeah. Eden, what about you?
I learned that that you just keep going, like even when you think that it's not possible or it's not going to work out. Like I learned that I'm more perseverant than I thought I was, because there was no guarantee. There wasn't, I could have just been broke forever and nothing happened, or, be talking to nobody on the internet. But thankfully it worked out, and it's continuing to work out. But I'm proud of the fact that I kept going, and that I still keep going even when I mess up, and even when I learn a new lesson, that I got to get up again and go, okay, I'm going to do it better next time, and, and not dwell in it. So that's something that I'm learning through entrepreneurship.
Very nice. What about you, Anastasia?
I think a really big thing that I've learned is something that Monica mentioned, and we kind of always talk about it, but that a no is not a no, and that not every no, like some no's are, but I mean, like in business, a lot of the time somebody might close a door on you, but it doesn't mean that it's locked. And it doesn't mean that you should also, burn a bridge, because you never know when you have to cross that bridge. We've had so many no's that have turned into yeses down the road. We've had so many doors that were closed on us only to see how much we wanted it, and if we were willing to actually, pry open the door, kind of thing. We've had people who've said to us over and over again that, they didn't believe in the business, only to just see how badly they wanted us to say yes. So that was kind of like a big thing for us that we always bring into the future, and we don't get as like hurt by a no anymore. And sometimes those no's actually were like a blessing in disguise, that we learned later on, you know, why that didn't work out for us, and that was actually a positive thing.
Mm. Sana, how about you?
So for me, I think it's kind of just letting go a little bit. I feel like I'm a huge perfectionist, and when things don't go as I want them to go, I stress out and I get a lot of anxiety about it. So for instance, the Canada Post plant had shut down temporarily because they had this huge outbreak, and a whole bunch of our shipments got delayed. And I felt like that was like my fault, and I felt like, you know, I had to make it right with our customers like right away. And even though things are outside of our control, I think just like learning that not everything has to do with me, and that I have to just remember that, you know, I can't control the postal system, I can't control FedEx or UPS or whoever, and that just letting go a little bit of control is actually way better for my mental health than trying to be in control of absolutely everything.
That's a good one. And you, Liz?
I think for me, and specifically this business, just the fact that it scaled, like I started it as a small t-shirt thing in Ottawa. I just made shirts for my friends. Then I decided to put them online, and then I ended up selling to like 130 countries. So I think the most surprising thing was that it became a thing, honestly.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much to everyone who contributed questions. And that concludes our discussion. I'm so grateful to all of our wonderful panelists and all the guests for tuning in. I was really thrilled to honor International Women's Day this year in partnership with Tick-Tock and celebrate with this panel of amazing entrepreneurs. You know, Tick-Tock really is a global platform that I think, as evidenced by this panel, celebrates diversity and inclusivity, empowers women to own their voice and showcase their best selves. And on that note, I really love spotlighting this inspiring community of entrepreneurs who thankfully shared how they found success in their careers. And I hope all of our guests enjoyed it too. We'll share a recording of the event with all guests next week so that you can share with your friends and communities. And be sure to check out fashionmagazine.com for panel highlights coming soon. Thank you all so much once again. Thank you to the amazing panelists. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night.